Breaking news coming out of Hollywood has once again put comedian and actor Andy Dick in the spotlight, but this time for a far more troubling reason. Multiple reports suggest that Andy Dick suffered an apparent overdose in a public area of Hollywood, prompting an emergency response and immediate concern from fans and onlookers. The name Andy Dick is synonymous with decades of television, comedy, and controversy, and when news like this breaks, it spreads quickly. But beyond the shocking headlines and social media reactions, there are important details, unanswered questions, and a much bigger story that deserves careful attention. What exactly happened? How serious is his condition? And what do we actually know so far versus what's still speculation? In this video, we're going to walk through everything that has been confirmed up to this moment, separating verified information from rumors that often circulate during developing stories like this. We'll examine where Andy Dick was reportedly found, how emergency services responded, and what officials or credible sources have reported so far. We'll also step back and examine why this incident has resonated so strongly, considering Andy Dick's long and very public struggles with addiction, legal troubles, and repeated attempts at recovery. This isn't about gossip or shock value, it's about understanding the situation responsibly, acknowledging the human reality behind the headlines, and putting this incident into proper context. As this story continues to unfold, it also opens up a broader conversation about addiction, mental health, and the toll of life in the public eye, and that's something we need to talk about carefully and honestly. According to multiple initial reports, Andy Dick was found in a public area of Hollywood appearing to be in medical distress, which led to an emergency response from authorities and paramedics. Witnesses reportedly contacted emergency services after noticing behavior that suggested something was seriously wrong. First responders arrived on the scene and provided immediate medical assistance before Andy Dick was transported for further evaluation and treatment. At the time these reports surfaced, officials described the situation as an apparent overdose. However, early descriptions made it clear that this was a preliminary assessment rather than a finalized medical determination. As with many breaking incidents involving public figures, details emerged quickly but unevenly. Some information came from law enforcement sources, while other claims circulated through social media posts and eyewitness statements that were not officially verified. Authorities have not publicly disclosed specific substances involved, nor have they released full medical details, citing privacy and the ongoing nature of the situation. This has left room for speculation, which is why it's important to focus only on what has been confirmed by credible sources. What is clear is that the response was treated seriously, indicating concern for Andy Dick's immediate health and safety. Emergency intervention in such cases is often time-sensitive, and quick action can make a critical difference. As updates continue to emerge, officials have emphasized caution in concluding, reminding the public that early reports can change as more verified information becomes available. Andy Dick rose to prominence in the 1990s as a distinctive and unpredictable presence in American comedy. He gained widespread recognition through his work on television shows like News Radio *, where his eccentric style and sharp comedic timing made him a memorable figure. Beyond television, he appeared in numerous films, stand-up performances, and sketch comedy projects, becoming a familiar face during an era when alternative comedy was thriving. His willingness to push boundaries and embrace odd, sometimes uncomfortable humor helped set him apart in a crowded entertainment landscape. However, as his career grew, so did his reputation for erratic behavior off-screen. While many comedians cultivate wild personas, Andy Dick's actions increasingly blurred the line between performance and real-life controversy. Stories about disruptive behavior on sets, strained professional relationships, and erratic public appearances began to overshadow his actual work. Over time, this reputation affected his ability to maintain steady roles in major productions, and his career trajectory became inconsistent. Despite these challenges, Andy Dick remained a recognizable name, in part because of his openness or perceived openness about his personal struggles. For some fans, he represented raw, unfiltered comedy. For others, he became a cautionary example of how talent can be undermined when personal issues spiral out of control. This complex legacy is a major reason why news like this draws intense public attention. Andy Dick's struggles with substance abuse have been widely documented over many years, often discussed openly in interviews, court records, and media reports. He has spoken in the past about battling addiction, entering rehabilitation programs, and attempting sobriety multiple times. Unfortunately, these efforts have often been followed by relapses, which became public due to his celebrity status and frequent run-ins with law enforcement. Arrests related to intoxication, assault, and other incidents have repeatedly placed him back in the headlines. These legal troubles didn't occur in isolation. They frequently coincided with periods when Andy Dick appeared to be struggling the most personally and professionally. Addiction, by its nature, is a chronic and relapsing condition, and his life seemed to reflect that harsh reality. Attempts at recovery were sometimes supported by friends and industry colleagues, but maintaining long-term stability proved difficult. Each new incident reinforced a public narrative that overshadowed any progress he may have made behind the scenes. What makes this particularly tragic is how predictable the pattern became. Moments of hope, rehab stays, public commitments to sobriety were often followed by new arrests or disturbing incidents. This history contextualizes why reports of an apparent overdose, while alarming, are not entirely surprising to many observers. It underscores the seriousness of addiction and how devastating it can be when recovery resources, accountability, and stability fail to align. News of Andy Dick's apparent overdose spread rapidly across social media, news websites, and entertainment platforms, producing a wide range of reactions. Some fans expressed genuine concern and sympathy, hoping that he would survive and finally receive the help he needed. Others responded with frustration or cynicism, pointing to his long history of repeated incidents and questioning how many chances one person can receive. This split reaction highlights how public patience often erodes when a celebrity's struggles become repetitive and unresolved. Media coverage has also reflected this divide. Some outlets framed the story as a tragic development in a long-running battle with addiction, emphasizing compassion and mental health awareness. Others focused more heavily on his controversial past, effectively reinforcing a negative public image. Sensational headlines and rapid-fire updates sometimes prioritize speed over nuance, which can deepen misunderstandings during ongoing situations like this. Social media, in particular, amplified both empathy and cruelty. While many users shared messages about addiction being a disease, others used the incident as a punchline or proof of perceived failure. This environment demonstrates how difficult it is for public figures to experience private health crises without immediate judgment. The response to this story says as much about societal attitudes toward addiction as it does about Andy Dick himself. This incident brings renewed attention to the complex relationship between addiction, fame, and accountability. Celebrities often have access to resources that many people don't, yet they also face unique pressures, constant scrutiny, unstable schedules, and public judgment that can make recovery even more difficult. Andy Dick's situation illustrates how fame doesn't protect someone from addiction and may, in some cases, intensify it. Every relapse becomes public, every mistake amplified, and every health crisis dissected in real time. At the same time, repeated incidents raise questions about accountability and support systems. Compassion does not mean ignoring harm or excusing destructive behavior, but it does require recognizing addiction as a medical and psychological condition. Long-term recovery usually involves consistent treatment, boundaries, and stable environments, factors that are hard to maintain when someone is frequently homeless, isolated, or under constant media pressure, as Andy Dick has reportedly been in recent years. Ultimately, this moment should prompt deeper reflection rather than quick judgment. It highlights the urgent need for better addiction support, responsible reporting, and a more humane approach to public health crises. Whether or not this incident becomes a turning point remains unknown, but it serves as a stark reminder of how unforgiving addiction can be, especially when it plays out under the glare of fame. As of now, this remains a developing situation, and the most responsible thing to do is focus on what has been confirmed while allowing space for updated information to emerge. Stories like this can change quickly, and early reports don't always tell the full picture. What we do know is that Andy Dick's health became a serious concern, prompting an emergency response that underscores just how real and dangerous these moments can be. Until official statements provide more clarity, speculation only adds noise to an already complex situation. This incident also leaves us with something larger to think about than just one headline or one celebrity. Andy Dick's life has played out very publicly, offering a stark example of how addiction doesn't discriminate and how recovery is rarely a straight line. Behind the controversy and criticism is a human being facing a long, difficult battle, one that many people outside the spotlight experience every day. It's possible to acknowledge past behavior while still recognizing the seriousness of a medical crisis. As we wait for further updates, the focus should remain on awareness, accuracy, and compassion. If you or someone you know struggles with substance abuse, this story is a powerful reminder that help matters and timing can be critical. Thanks for watching, and if new, verified information becomes available, we'll be here to cover it responsibly.